Well, my name is Mecca, and I'm a local to Bankstown. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and my job is pretty much looking after the nutrition and physical activity of kids, so children aged between 0 to 13 years of age. The way that I became the first Muslim surf lifesaver in the world is actually a funny story, because one of the organisers, Dr. Reefi, was actually encouraging my brother to go along. He probably just it didn't occur to him to tell me. And so I saw this invitation one day and I'm like, I think I'd like to be a part of that. The responses from people around me were mixed. I guess the most important thing was that my family were the most supportive. My parents especially, they understood the importance of having a Muslim girl out there trying to make a difference, trying to highlight the capabilities of Muslim women. What was involved in becoming a surf lifesaver required weeks of training, which meant that I was at the beach from early hours of the morning till late at night. It was quite rough. My mum can only explain to you how many times I injured myself, whether I was running on the beach and I sprained my ankle and then I sprained my other ankle because I was walking on it too much. I pretty much fractured my nose. Severed tendons in my fingers. That's not including all the bumps and bruises that were involved, and you just think that it's just a trip to the beach. But it definitely required a lot of training, a lot of mental support. The reason why the program was set up was as a result after the Cronulla riots. So there was, the tension between two communities that had probably more similarities than differences, but I guess it was trying to unite two communities or build a bridge between two communities. And that's definitely important in allowing people to see who Muslims are, and we're just as Aussie as anybody else. And just because I choose to wear or have a particular style of clothing doesn't really make me any different. And everybody has their own belief system, whether they believe in something or not, but it's still their own belief system, and that's a very personal thing. The Kokoda track was all about building bridges again. Dr. Reefi chose a few people from the Bankstown Canterbury area, and we decided to go with a group of people from Cronulla. We went together and it was again all about building bridges, building relationships, sharing ideas, sharing stories, and at the end of it, regardless of what I was wearing or anybody else was wearing, we were just seen as friends and as teammates and, going through the same experience together, regardless of what we were wearing. I wouldn't consider myself to be the camping type. I guess keeping real to myself was being able to I guess choose what kind of items of clothing I could bring, because that's probably the only thing that I could take with me that was necessary, because you're carrying everything that you need for the 7 days you're carrying on your back. So you definitely need to limit what you're carrying. So I decided to be me and choose most of my clothing in pink. So it was quite a challenge for me, but I guess I just needed to feel like I was still at home, or just to keep home close to me. So most of my clothes were pink, most of my items were pink, and pink's not necessarily my favourite colour, but it just meant that I could be as girly as I can, even though I'm in the middle of a rainforest. Yeah, and it added just a bit of humour to my life then too, which reflects my character. I guess the idea of me as a role model is really scary. I get a lot of people who haven't really met Muslim women before tell me that they feel really comfortable around me and that they think I'm not like anybody else. The fact is that I think I'm like a lot of Muslim women. The women out there that are my role models aren't necessarily out in the media or out in the public, but it's just, you know, your strong attitude and your willingness and persistence. I think there are plenty of misconceptions around Muslim women, in particular Australia. Our families encourage us to get an education, work, empower ourselves, and I think there's more, I think, encouragement from families towards women because of those misconceptions. And, you know, we're just as normal as anybody else. And, you know, my choice of faith shouldn't make me any different to you. Choosing to wear the scarf hasn't been that difficult for me because I grew up in an environment where that was normal. Islam pretty much means submission to God. And Islam comes from the word salam, and which means peace. And I guess that's important because a lot of, I guess, the connotations associated with Islam these days is negative and is completely the opposite to peace. Islam gives me a sense of peace within myself, within my family and within my community, and it really is my guide in life, and that's the path that I've chosen. And I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way.